Mountain Monsters began as a beloved cryptid hunting show featuring a group of rugged Appalachian hunters tracking legendary creatures through the backwoods of West Virginia. The Ames team, led by the legendary Trapper, became fan favorites with their authentic personalities, southern charm, and dedication to uncovering the truth about Bigfoot, the Mothman, and other mysterious beasts. But behind the cameras, tragedy was unfolding that would devastate the cast and shock viewers who thought they were just watching entertaining television. Death, serious injuries, legal troubles, and betrayals tore apart the team that once seemed unbreakable. What happened to these cryptid hunters goes far beyond anything shown on Travel Channel. From devastating health crises to scandalous allegations, the real story of Mountain Monsters is darker than any creature they ever tracked. Make sure you're subscribed because the truth about what happened to this legendary cast will leave you speechless. John Trapper Tice was the heart and soul of Mountain Monsters. As the team leader of the Ames crew, his gravelly voice, strategic mind, and genuine passion for cryptid investigation made him irreplaceable. Trapper's larger-than-life personality and father-figure presence held the team together through countless dangerous investigations in the Appalachian wilderness. But in early 2019, everything changed when Trapper received a devastating cancer diagnosis that would end his life within months. The cancer was aggressive and had already spread throughout his body by the time doctors discovered it. Trapper, ever the tough Appalachian hunter, initially tried to keep filming despite his deteriorating condition. Those final episodes show a man visibly weakening, struggling to keep pace with investigations that once energized him. His voice, normally commanding and strong, became raspy and strained. Team members noticed, but Trapper refused to quit, insisting he wanted to finish the season and continue doing what he loved. By spring 2019, Trapper could no longer hide how sick he'd become. He passed away quietly, surrounded by family, leaving the Ames team devastated and the show's future uncertain. The news broke hearts across the cryptid hunting community. Fans flooded social media with tributes, sharing favorite Trapper moments and expressing grief over losing someone who felt like family even through a television screen. The remaining cast members, Wild Bill, Willie, Jeff, Huckleberry, and Buck, struggled to process the loss. They'd spent years together in the woods, facing danger and forging bonds that transcended a television show. Losing Trapper meant losing their leader, their strategist, and for many, a mentor and friend who'd guided them through the cryptid hunting world. Travel Channel aired a special tribute episode honoring Trapper's legacy, featuring behind-the-scenes footage and emotional testimonials from the team. Wild Bill broke down on camera describing what Trapper meant to him. Willie shared stories about Trapper's wisdom and kindness off camera. The tribute revealed a man far more complex and caring than the gruff hunter persona he projected during investigations. Trapper's death fundamentally changed Mountain Monsters. The show tried to continue without him, but the chemistry was broken. No one could replace Trapper's leadership or fill the void his absence created. The team investigated cryptids half-heartedly, going through motions that felt empty without their legendary leader calling the shots. William Wild Bill Neff was known for his boisterous personality, infectious laugh, and fearless approach to cryptid hunting. But during filming in late 2018, Wild Bill experienced a terrifying medical emergency that nearly ended his life and forced him to confront his mortality in the West Virginia wilderness. The team was deep in the mountains investigating reports of a mysterious creature when Wild Bill suddenly collapsed, clutching his chest and struggling to breathe. What initially seemed like exhaustion quickly became obvious as something far more serious. Wild Bill was having a heart attack. The remote filming location made immediate medical assistance impossible. The nearest hospital was over an hour away on treacherous mountain roads, and cell phone service was non-existent in that part of Appalachia. The crew and cast members faced a nightmare scenario watching Wild Bill deteriorate while desperately trying to get him help. They loaded him into a truck and raced down the mountain, breaking every speed limit while Wild Bill faded in and out of consciousness in the back seat. Those minutes felt like hours as the team prayed they'd reach the hospital before it was too late. Wild Bill survived, but the incident fundamentally changed him. Doctors explained that years of stress, poor diet, lack of sleep, and the physical demands of all-night cryptid investigations had taken a devastating toll on his cardiovascular system. He was overweight, had dangerously high blood pressure, and his heart was weakened from years of neglect. The prognosis was clear: continue living this way, and the next heart attack would likely be fatal. Wild Bill faced a choice between the show he loved and his life. Recovery required major lifestyle changes, including weight loss, medication, dietary restrictions, and significantly reduced physical activity. The grueling overnight investigations trudging through mountains and swamps were exactly what doctors ordered him to avoid. Wild Bill struggled with this reality, feeling like he was abandoning his team and the cryptid hunting mission that had become his identity. He did return to mountain monsters after months of recovery, but he was different. The boisterous energy was tempered by awareness of his fragility. Viewers noticed Wild Bill participating less in physically demanding aspects of investigations, hanging back while younger team members did the heavy lifting. His close call with death reminded everyone that these weren't just television personalities playing characters. They were real people risking real health consequences for entertainment. Jeff "Buck" Headley's life changed forever during a weekend off from filming when he was involved in a serious ATV accident on his property in West Virginia. Buck, an experienced outdoorsman who'd spent decades navigating Appalachian terrain, was riding familiar trails when he hit an unexpected obstacle and was thrown violently from the vehicle. The ATV rolled over him, causing severe spinal injuries that left him in excruciating pain and facing the possibility of permanent disability. Emergency responders airlifted Buck to a trauma center where doctors delivered devastating news. He had multiple fractured vertebrae, herniated discs, and nerve damage that might never fully heal. Surgery was required immediately to stabilize his spine and prevent paralysis. The operation was successful, but Buck faced months of grueling physical therapy, with no guarantee he'd ever return to normal functioning. The pain was constant and debilitating, requiring heavy prescription painkillers just to get through each day. For someone whose identity centered on being a tough, capable outdoorsman and cryptid hunter, the injury was psychologically devastating as well as physically crippling. Buck's situation created serious questions about his future with mountain monsters. Could he continue participating in dangerous overnight investigations that required hiking rough terrain, building traps, and responding quickly to potential cryptid encounters? The show's insurance and liability concerns were legitimate. If Buck re-injured himself during filming, the production company could face massive lawsuits. But Buck refused to quit. Against medical advice and despite ongoing chronic pain, he insisted on returning to the team. Watching later episodes, you can see Buck struggling. His movements are careful and restricted. He grimaces when climbing over obstacles or bending down. There are moments when pain clearly overwhelms him, and he has to step back while other team members take over. The prescription medications he needed to manage pain also affected his mental sharpness and physical coordination. Buck admitted in interviews that he was taking powerful opioids during filming, a dangerous combination given the show's physical demands and nighttime locations. His determination to continue despite serious injuries spoke to his dedication, but it also raised ethical questions about whether producers should have allowed someone in his condition to keep participating in potentially dangerous situations. In 2020, Travel Channel abruptly canceled Mountain Monsters after 8 seasons, devastating fans and leaving the cast blindsided by a decision that seemed to come out of nowhere. The show had been a consistent ratings performer for the network, drawing loyal audiences who tuned in religiously to follow the Ames team's cryptid investigations. So why would Travel Channel suddenly pull the plug on one of their most recognizable paranormal programs? The official explanation cited programming changes and network restructuring, the generic corporate language that reveals nothing. But insiders tell a very different story about behind-the-scenes chaos that made the show unsustainable. After Trapper's death, production costs increased dramatically as the network tried various approaches to maintain the show's appeal. They brought in consultants, hired additional crew members, and extended filming schedules attempting to recapture the magic that died with Trapper. None of it worked, and budgets ballooned while ratings slowly declined. The remaining cast members were also demanding higher salaries, arguing that as original team members carrying the show without their leader, they deserved significant raises. Negotiations became contentious, with some cast members threatening to quit if their demands weren't met. Travel Channel executives faced an impossible situation: pay more for a show that was performing worse, or cut their losses and move on. There were also rumors of serious conflicts between cast members and producers about creative direction. Some team members wanted to honor Trapper's legacy by maintaining the show's original investigative approach. Others pushed for dramatic changes, including new team members, different locations, and more scripted encounters to boost excitement. These creative disagreements created tension on set that made filming difficult and unpleasant for everyone involved. Production sources described arguments between cast and crew, missed filming days due to disputes, and an overall toxic atmosphere that replaced the camaraderie that once defined Mountain Monsters. The final factor was the broader industry shift towards streaming content and away from traditional cable programming. Travel Channel's parent company was consolidating shows, canceling underperforming series, and investing resources into digital platforms rather than cable television. Mountain Monsters became a casualty of changing media consumption habits and corporate restructuring that had nothing to do with the show's quality or the cast's dedication. When cancellation was announced, fans launched massive social media campaigns demanding the show's return, creating petitions that gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures and flooding Travel Channel with angry messages. Jacob Huckleberry Lowe projected a fun-loving, good-natured persona on Mountain Monsters, often providing comic relief during tense investigations with his jokes and enthusiasm. But away from cameras, Huckleberry faced serious legal troubles that threatened his role on the show and revealed a much darker reality behind his television personality. Court records show Huckleberry was arrested multiple times over the years on charges ranging from DUI to domestic incidents, creating serious problems for Travel Channel producers who had to decide whether to continue employing someone with an increasingly troubling legal history. The DUI arrest was particularly problematic because it happened during the show's peak popularity, generating local news coverage that connected Huckleberry directly to Mountain Monsters. He was pulled over late at night driving erratically, failed field sobriety tests, and was taken into custody with a blood alcohol level nearly twice the legal limit. This wasn't a minor mistake. It was dangerous, irresponsible behavior that could have killed someone. Huckleberry's mugshot circulated online, and fans were shocked to see their favorite jovial cryptid hunter looking disheveled and intoxicated in a county jail. The arrest raised questions about whether substance abuse issues were affecting Huckleberry during filming. Crew members later admitted there were times when Huckleberry seemed impaired on set, showing up to investigations with alcohol on his breath or behaving erratically in ways that went beyond his usual comedic personality. Producers allegedly ignored these warning signs because replacing a main cast member would disrupt the show, choosing ratings over addressing legitimate concerns about Huckleberry's well-being and the safety risks his behavior created. Additional legal troubles involved domestic disputes that resulted in police being called to Huckleberry's residence on multiple occasions. While specific details remain sealed in court records, the pattern suggested ongoing personal problems that were escalating rather than improving. Some cast members distanced themselves from Huckleberry during this period, frustrated by his refusal to address his issues and embarrassed by the negative attention his behavior brought to the show. Travel Channel considered removing Huckleberry from Mountain Monsters entirely, holding emergency meetings with producers and lawyers about contractual options and potential liability if he caused serious problems during filming. Ultimately, they decided to keep him, believing fans would revolt if another original team member disappeared after Trapper's death. But Huckleberry was reportedly placed on strict behavioral conditions, including mandatory sobriety during filming and immediate termination if any additional arrests occurred. From its first episode, Mountain Monsters faced accusations of faking evidence and staging cryptid encounters for dramatic effect. Skeptics analyzed footage frame by frame, identifying what they claimed were obvious fabrications, hired actors in creature costumes, and manipulated thermal imaging meant to convince viewers the Ames team was encountering real paranormal phenomena. The allegations gained serious traction when former crew members began speaking out anonymously on paranormal forums and Reddit threads, sharing behind-the-scenes details about how certain scenes were constructed and evidence was manufactured. One of the most controversial incidents involved thermal imaging footage allegedly showing a large bipedal creature moving through the forest during a Bigfoot investigation. Skeptics quickly pointed out inconsistencies in the thermal signature, arguing the heat distribution was inconsistent with a living creature and more consistent with a person wearing a costume with strategically placed heating elements. Video analysis experts noted that the creature moved in ways suspiciously similar to a human gait, despite producers claiming it was too large and moved too unusually to be a person. The Ames team defended the footage as authentic, but the technical breakdowns were damaging and convinced many viewers the show was deliberately deceiving its audience. The elaborate traps the team built to capture cryptids became another source of fraud allegations. Critics noted that despite spending entire episodes constructing complex snares, cages, and trigger mechanisms, the traps never actually caught anything significant. The pattern was predictable. The team would find evidence suggesting a creature was nearby, build an impressive trap, set up cameras, and return the next morning to find the trap mysteriously destroyed or bypassed by whatever they were hunting. Skeptics argued this was scripted failure designed to maintain ongoing narrative tension while never having to produce actual cryptid specimens that would expose the show as fiction. Some of the most damning allegations came from local residents in areas where Mountain Monsters filmed who claimed they witnessed production assistants placing fake evidence like footprints, claw marks, and disturbed vegetation before the main cast discovered these clues on camera. One West Virginia resident described watching crew members preparing a filming location hours before the Ames team arrived, strategically placing items and creating disturbances that would later be presented as organic cryptid evidence. These eyewitness accounts, combined with technical analysis of questionable footage, created a compelling case that Mountain Monsters was entertainment fiction rather than legitimate investigation. Willie McQuillian appeared to be one of the most stable and grounded members of the Ames team, but behind his calm demeanor, he was enduring heartbreaking personal tragedies that would have destroyed most people. During Mountain Monsters' run, Willie lost multiple close family members in rapid succession, including his beloved mother and a sibling, creating a grief spiral that profoundly affected his mental health and his ability to continue filming. Those who knew Willie personally described him as devastated, struggling to process losses that came too quickly to properly mourn before the next tragedy struck. The timing was particularly cruel because Willie's grief coincided with the most demanding production schedule Mountain Monsters had ever faced. He was expected to film grueling overnight investigations in remote locations while emotionally shattered by family deaths, putting on a brave face for cameras while internally falling apart. Cast members noticed Willie becoming withdrawn and distant during this period. The jovial personality that usually emerged during investigations was replaced by someone going through motions mechanically, participating but not truly present. In some episodes from this era, you can see the pain in Willie's eyes even as he tries to focus on cryptid hunting. There are moments when he stands apart from the group, lost in thought, clearly somewhere else mentally, while his teammates discuss investigation strategies. Production sources say Willie requested time off to deal with family matters, but the filming schedule made extended breaks nearly impossible. Missing episodes would disrupt the entire season's arc and create budget problems that producers weren't willing to accommodate. So Willie continued working while grieving, a situation that was unfair and potentially damaging to his well-being. The support system within the Ames team became crucial during Willie's darkest period. Wild Bill, Buck, and other team members rallied around him, offering emotional support and covering for him when grief made it impossible to function normally. They'd grown close over years of shared experiences, and that bond meant something when Willie needed it most. Off camera, the team checked on him constantly, made sure he wasn't alone, and provided the kind of friendship that transcends professional relationships. Trapper, before his own death, was particularly supportive of Willie, offering fatherly advice and perspective gained from his own experiences with loss. Willie later said that Trapper's guidance helped him survive that terrible period, making Trapper's subsequent death even more devastating as Willie lost not just his team leader but a mentor and friend who'd helped him through previous tragedies. After the initial cancellation, Mountain Monsters shocked fans by returning to Travel Channel in 2022. But the comeback was anything but triumphant. What should have been a joyous reunion of beloved cryptid hunters instead became a source of bitter controversy, exposed tensions, and accusations of betrayal that destroyed relationships within the Ames team. The central conflict revolved around how to continue the show without Trapper, and whether new cast members should be added to fill the void his death created. Travel Channel executives pushed hard for fresh faces, believing the show needed new energy and younger demographics to survive in a changing television landscape. Some original team members agreed, viewing new additions as necessary evolution. Others saw it as disrespectful to Trapper's memory and a betrayal of what Mountain Monsters represented. A tight-knit group of Appalachian hunters with genuine history together. The decision to bring in newcomers split the team into factions. Wild Bill and Jeff supported the additions, arguing the show had to adapt or die permanently. Willie and Huckleberry opposed changes, wanting to honor the original team's legacy by keeping the group exclusive to those who'd worked alongside Trapper. These weren't minor disagreements. They became heated arguments about loyalty, legacy, and what the show meant beyond just paychecks and television fame. The tension was palpable on screen, with obvious coldness between cast members who once seemed like family. Money became another major source of conflict. The return deal included renegotiated contracts with wildly different compensation levels based on seniority and perceived value to the show. Some original members received substantial raises, while others were offered the same rates they'd earned years earlier. The disparity created resentment and accusations that certain cast members were prioritizing personal profit over team unity. There were ugly confrontations about who deserved what based on their contributions to Mountain Monsters' success. with some team members feeling undervalued and disrespected by the compensation structure. The worst betrayal involved leaked private conversations where cast members criticized each other to producers, suggesting who should be reduced to smaller roles or removed entirely. When these backstabbing comments became known within the group, friendships that had survived years of cryptid hunting in dangerous conditions shattered overnight. Trust evaporated as team members realized people they considered brothers were actively working to diminish their roles or push them off the show completely for competitive and financial advantage. Wild Bill continues cryptid hunting with limited physical activity due to heart issues. Buck struggles with chronic pain from spinal injuries and has withdrawn from public life. Willie left cryptid hunting entirely, focusing on family and healing. Huckleberry remains involved in small-scale investigations, but networks avoid him due to legal troubles. Legal battles continue over show ownership and unpaid residuals. The tight-knit Ames team is fractured beyond repair, with former friends now avoiding each other and the mountain monster's legacy tarnished by tragedy and betrayal.